Welcome to the True Mind Shifters channel.
Our focus today is the feeling that you might have from time to time when you are an imposter in your own life. This feeling happens to a lot of people and is rooted in fear, shame, and guilt.
So if you like our videos, if you like our channel, please don't forget, spend some time and put likes, maybe share with others and subscribe to stay on top of our new work that we try to send out every week for everyone's enjoyment.
In our previous video, we had a catalyst conversation with Ken Murphy, and he spoke about fear of change in his life and had his own perspective that helped us name that Seeds of Courage. Let's get to it. Marina, fear of being an imposter. Have you ever felt like an imposter in your own life?
I have and I am still do. That is what it is, and that's the truth. Feeling of being an imposter is very interesting. I couldn't understand what it means. I didn't know what it was until I stumbled across Brene Brown's book, where she's talking about an imposter syndrome. And when I started reading it, I was like, oh my God, that is about me. She's speaking about me. She is talking about what happens to people who are hardworking, trying to achieve any set goals in their lives, trying to be the best, and then always feeling not good enough, like they're lacking something. When I listened to what Brene Brown stated in one of her books, and we'll put a reference to it in this video, I realized that the imposter syndrome is something that we are all feeling, and that is associated with few things: being insecure, being brought up in an environment where you're judged all the time for anything you do if it's outside of a strict plan, script, or norm, and not understanding that you are wonderful and beautiful and smart and amazing just the way you are. So going back again, feeling insecure. People that are confident, people that have good ground, people that understand themselves, their boundaries, and always able to forgive themselves for mistakes they make, because we all make mistakes in life. They usually don't experience the imposter syndrome, because we all understand that you can be the most academic, scholastically incredible person in the world, but it doesn't mean you know everything. No one knows everything about everything. But we're not taught that. We're taught that, like me, since I was little, I'm not good enough. I always have to work harder and harder and harder in order to match to others in the field. Even now, I'm hearing a lot of interesting perspectives on the topic, where some really smart people are recommending to align themselves with even smarter people and strive towards those standards. Before, I was thinking the same thing. Now it makes me cringe. Because to me, right now, this is the best way to create the imposter syndrome for yourself. I experience it in my personal life and I experience it in my professional life. It creates stress. It creates demotivation. It's not motivational. And it doesn't allow you to be. I have examples, but I would like to hear your perspective, Eva, on what I just shared overall and how you had an exposure to the imposter syndrome.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you for sharing your experience and your wisdom around what this even is. and through your own reading of Brene Brown, learning more about it, because honestly, I had heard about it. I actually witnessed it in my life through someone else that I know that was a high achiever, went through law school. When they got their results for passing the bar, they thought the bar made a mistake. They thought that their results were a mistake. And I watched that happen. And when they would achieve things that, get promotions, they kept thinking privately to themselves that they didn't deserve the promotion. So I would see this, and it was like watching something that didn't make any sense at all, made no sense at all, this high achieving person. And then at work, I would hear other people talk about it because I was in the learning and development space, and people would talk about imposter syndrome with all of these brilliant engineers and how predominant it is with women in engineering. And it blew my mind. I personally did not identify with imposter syndrome for most of my life because I had to work so flippin' hard for whatever I did. So I knew, I'm like, no, I didn't just get A's and magically get accepted to different things. I clawed and scratched my way through a lot of academic settings. And I didn't become a strong student until I was in college. And I cracked the code on how I need to study, but I earned it. So there was no mistake for me in how I did in school and thinking that I didn't belong where I was because I paid my way, I scratched my way through school. And when I found a passion, it became easier for me. But I knew why I was getting the grade that I was getting. But not that long ago, I was invited to be interviewed for a Forbes article about a topic that I know about. And my first reaction was, well, I'm not an expert. I need to go find someone else for this person to interview. And I started to cry.
Because you
Because
finally felt the imposter syndrome.
that was yeah, there it was. And I'm like, holy crap. I don't believe in myself so much that I need to go find someone else.
Yep. So you were just saying something, and it was very interesting because, and I do want to kind of anchor that saying before the Forbes magazine because it
Okay.
makes sense. When you said, I didn't feel imposter syndrome until I got to college because I had to work so flipping hard. I was listening to you and thinking, interesting, Eva. So, do you think that those high achieving engineers did not have to work so flipping hard? And that's why they felt
Mm,
imposter syndrome?
it's a great call out. It's my perception of being with high achievers in my family, watching
No,
them apply very little effort, but it's a great call out. My own,
no,
I can only share my own personal experience is what I'm
true,
saying, right? And so
true.
from my own experience, I didn't experience imposter syndrome through because I knew I was working so hard and I associated and I knew I earned what I achieved. It wasn't until later when I hadn't really stacked up all of my achievements to then conclude, therefore, Eva is accomplished enough to be worthy of being featured in a Forbes article.
You did not.
Correct.
So, I'm trying to get somewhere here. You felt that you did not have the imposter syndrome because you were working so flipping hard in college. Yet you couldn't understand why people that were high achievers, engineers or whatever, right? Feeling that syndrome.
Yes.
And then when you got to the Forbes magazine, that's when you felt the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get here, Eva, is that in your own book, how you judge yourself, you felt that you matched up your effort, to your achievements in college. However, when you were asked to be interviewed in Forbes magazine, you in your book did not have your working hard achievements matched up to that level. Therefore, where I'm trying to get, me, those engineers, whoever, we in our book don't see ourselves and our hard work and our achievements matched up to the level where we are or where we're being placed or where others see us. That is the imposter syndrome. We do not have an equal line between where we are and where we think we deserve to be. We're always lower, so we don't feel like we deserve it. And you, when you got in college and you worked hard, you felt that you deserve it because that's the level you in your book defined for yourself. If you would have defined that you deserve to be in the Forbes magazine, when you were asked to be interviewed in that magazine, you would have been like, sure, yeah, that makes sense. I'm there. So the imposter syndrome is a disconnect between what we think we deserve and what we are able to do.
Yes. And your explanation is so clear and why this happens. So thank you for the explanation because it makes it very, very clear. And I think my not feeling it in one domain, but then boom, feeling it like I hit a wall. And then because the immediate story was, well, why is he asking me? I don't have the experience. And I caught myself, started to cry. Then I shook myself out of it and said, Eva, this is an honor. You need to write something. And then you need to tell yourself if you can do this or not. You're not going to tell him no until you try.
Oh my God, you just gave an amazing, you just did it. You just gave me the tool that I was missing because I'm constantly in this imposter mode behind the scenes. What you just did, you just showed me, and I guess everyone else, an incredible position at being brave, dealing with insecurities, and dealing with an imposter syndrome. Because you've heard of Brené Brown's imposter syndrome, but I'm telling you what she says there. The only way to deal with it is to talk to yourself and talk yourself out of it. There's no other way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm reminded a little bit of Bryan, Dr. Bryan Robinson, who was the person who asked me, by the way, to write with him or write, in the article, but his
Our
session
March
on,
catalyst.
yes, the Catalyst conversation with Dr. Robinson is one that digs into how to speak to yourself, right? And this voice of fear, but the voice is different with imposter syndrome. The voice
Yes.
that I heard immediately, this book, this story, this internal conversation I'm having with myself, the voice was, well, you're not experienced, you're not worthy.
You're not worthy. And you are. It's the same thing as my voice is telling me, you can't know all of this. You need to learn more. You don't have enough knowledge of this. So I promise you what I'll do, I'll remember Eva. That's going to be my other anchor. I'm going to remember you saying, no, I decided to be brave. I'm going to write it, look at it, and then decide whether it's worth or not. Thank you for the anchor, Eva. I hope everyone got it. This is the anchor, guys. When you feel imposter syndrome, Just think about first doing what you were asked to do or what you want to do. Look at what your work is now, whether it's in personal or professional life, and then decide if it's worth it. Or take a step further, share it with your close circle. We talked about it. And see what they say. Get the feedback. And I bet you everybody is going to be, wow, it's amazing. And we'll give you the reinforcement to go through that imposter syndrome. You're amazing, Eva. You have these incredible tools under your sleeves, which I hope to explore more.
Well, I have to share and call out the time though, and thank you that it means a lot to have someone else validate, what you're doing in your own struggle. But the other part that's amazing is there was something that I was very interested in doing in my life and I didn't pursue it. And you heard me be very interested in this thing that I was pursuing. And I was very excited. You witnessed that energy. And then a few weeks later, I'm not doing that thing.
Yeah,
And this is the benefit of that external circle of friends that you trust. You called out, what are you doing? You're denying yourself.
yeah,
You're worthy. What are you afraid of?
yeah,
And those honest, direct conversations, right? If you don't have someone else listening to your aspirations, listening to your hopes, listening to your dreams, and then watching you when you have those moments of backing away and calling you, snapping your attention back to your dream,
yeah.
you're not going to live up to your full potential. You
Or you
just
to your
won't,
or to your full happiness.
or to your full happiness. And that's what this is all about. So this is incredible. And hindsight is 2020. It's easy to look back. And in those moments where you give up, in those
Mm-hmm.
moments where you don't believe, surrounding yourself with people who believe in you, like Ken Murphy believed in me, like I said before, when I did not believe in myself, and he gave me opportunities. He was like an external, antidote to imposter syndrome because of how much he believed in me. And then for myself, just saying, wait a minute, why are you doing this? You haven't even tried. Go try, go do it, see what happens, then decide if you're not worthy, air
I
quotes.
love this. I love it. You can't even imagine how monumental it is what you're saying. I know people in my life who, myself inclusive, first of all, myself, who by listening to this will start implementing that anchor. I will be very much advising, encouraging people to do it this way. Just stop and say, hold on a second. Why am I imposter? Why do I feel it? I haven't even tried it. Let me try, let me do it. And let me seek support of my very trusted small circle and then figure out whether it works or not.
And how magical will it be once you start to stop yourself and have the answers yourself, right? That you are worthy, and replace the old story. The story that's hijacking your happiness, it's hijacking your potential, is when you have the doubt and disbelief that you're worthy and capable. And let not the story determine what happens next. Be the author. Go write. Go do.
Yes,
Go be. Yeah.
agreed. It's time to wrap up this incredible, I think, magical, magical story, which is going to reveal our stories and our theme of May. Because I don't know if our viewers noticed, and I hope we can hear from them. So please do post your comments in our videos, in our feed. Let us know if you did notice that we do have themes. I would like to share that the theme of May is the tools and our stories around dealing with our imposter syndrome and creating anchors to not feel as an imposter in our personal, our own lives and our professional lives.
Thanks, everyone. Remember, you are not alone, and we send you support, empowerment, and love.